Hey guys, Brandon Woolum, CCM Magazine. We are hanging out here in the CCM Cafe with our friend and winner of season 18 of The Voice, Todd Tilghman.
Hey.
Welcome back, man. So you were literally, I was telling you this earlier, the first person that's been in every CCM Cafe setting. This is setting number 3, and you're the first one to pull off all 3.
You know what? I feel like I hold all kind of weird titles. You know, I'm still the oldest guy that won The Voice. You know, now I get to be the first guy that did all 3 sets for y'all.
Yeah. Speaking of weird titles and unique titles, it's release day for kind of a unique title of your song.
Yeah.
PB&J is out today.
Yeah.
I listened to the song before I came in, and it doesn't reference a whole lot of PB&J. It's more of a family song. Tell us about the song, the new song, and kind of how that title came to be.
Oh man, you know, I'll be honest with you. I have a running list of song titles, period. But I have like a sub list of songs that are just supposed to be stupid, goofy, jokey songs. Like I sing a song live a lot that's called "I'm a 4 but I'm funny." It's just like a stupid song, you know. And PB&J was on that list. It was supposed to be. Well, in my mind, it was. You know, we get up, the alarm didn't go off, or, you know, we set it for PM instead of AM, and we rush out the door and people forget their backpacks, and we get to work and everybody's doing their stuff, and by the time that day is over, you just survived on PB&J. We're just trying to make it stepping on Legos, you know, barefoot. I was talking to another artist when I was getting ready to write with Michael Farron and Lance Carpenter. That's who I wrote the song with, and I can't even remember how it came up. I just said, man, I got so many stupid titles like PB&J. Well, then we got in there, and Michael said, hey, are you writing that with anybody? And I literally said, writing what? You know, and he said, PB&J. I'm like, oh no, you know, people don't like my stupid ideas, you know. So he said, do you mind if we do that? I'm like, no, you know, if you've got something in. So what ended up happening though is it's not stupid or goofy at all. It sort of took a turn. Really what I like to say about the song, there are 2 main things I like to say. Number 1, this is a song about how the most significant moments are usually in between the significant moments, you know, because we're watching when they're graduating and when their baptisms, and we're watching when the little league team wins the championship, and we remember those days. But really the bulk of the time we spend with our kids is those in-between times when nothing, you're just making them a PB&J. So that's one of the things that I wanted to convey. It's really important to me. Like, I'm not crazy. I would love to be top of the charts and win Grammys. But really, as far as my music goes, aside from providing for my kids and my family, my number 1 goal is that it connects. I want it to connect with somebody. And the second thing is, as a caregiver, period, a mom, dad, grandparent, whatever, this song is really for all of them, you know, teachers, whatever, coaches, anybody who's part of that village, you know, that raises a child. Sometimes it can feel like we're kind of not doing that great at it. And so I wanted to sort of, and I say we sort of wanted to say, you know, you're probably doing better than you think. You're doing all right.
So there's a lyric video that's already out there for it. There is an official full-on music video coming soon. Are we going to see maybe like some home video clips you took from your phone of your kids in this video? What can we expect?
Will see. I don't know that I would say that, but you will see my kids. You know, I can be honest with you. When you're an independent artist, you know, a lot of folks don't understand. Even on The Voice, you know, one of the number 1 things that it's hard to explain to people is y'all. And it's cool. I'm fine. I think everybody does what you have to do. There's no such thing as overnight success, you know. And I think people look at The Voice and they sort of think that. And so my kids, 2 of them really especially play a pretty big role in the music video. And it's, I'll be honest, one of my daughters that actually is not a part in this video. When I first got the video back from Chandler and the guys that worked on the video, I was in my recliner and I was watching it, and this particular daughter always is randomly saying, "Daddy, are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, I don't know are you sensing something? You know? But man, I was sitting in my recliner watching it and just weeping. Wow. And she comes over and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I showed the rest of the family, and it's being a dad of multiple children, really being a dad, period, though. But I do have it's very unique that I have children that have moved out and they're on their own. One of them lives on the West Coast, you know. And then I also have, my oldest and youngest have the same birthday. It's in a couple of days. We have our yearly double birthday. And so I have a kid about to turn 8 and a kid about to turn 24, and you miss the PB&Js. You really do, when they're gone.
Yeah, and for people who don't know your story, you don't just have 1 or 2 kids.
No.
This is 8 kids.
8 kids
that were in this household at some point. It sounds like there's only, 6 now?
5 now.
Okay.
We're down to 5
and
now.
a couple dogs in
Which
there,
is
too.
wild. It's funny to us. We act like we're empty nesters because we got 5 kids. We ain't got but 5 kids at home, But yeah, but when everyone sort of collectively gasps, about the 8 kids, I'm always like, calm down. We don't have octuplets, it's sort of like, I use this analogy all the time, and it's a terrible analogy. I'm telling y'all, it's a bad analogy, but I can't think of another one. It's sort of like when they tell you the story about boiling a frog, they say, it's kind of like that. You just adjust over time. Like you adjust to 1 kid, then you adjust to 2, and before you know it, you got 8, and it's not so bad. It's not as bad as people think.
Yeah, and for somebody like me who doesn't have kids and looked at that and is like, oh my gosh, how do you do 8 kids? I don't know if I could do 1 right now. You're eventually going to get the last laugh because I'm going to be old. You're going to be old one day. And even if a couple kids are like, I'm not taking care of him, one of those kids is going to take care of you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who will be me. I'm going to have to borrow one of your kids to be my caretaker.
Yeah, that's all right. We tell people all the time, we don't know how y'all are doing it. And we always say the same thing. Oh, we're not. Like, we're not succeeding at it. It's just, they're like, how do you keep it from being chaotic? Well, we don't. It's just chaotic. As a matter of fact, the other night, every now and then, it's weird because like when I have time off, because I take a little time off the first of the year, it's like I'm more restless because I'm off. And so it was probably 2 in the morning and I was just wide awake and I was sitting in my recliner and I could hear one of my kids just running upstairs. So I go upstairs, I'm like, what are you doing? It's just chaotic. It is what it is,
Yeah, you kind of touched on it a second ago. A misconception that we have for people like you who have won these TV shows is they're rich, they're famous, they don't need all this extra support from folks. But that's not always the case. Out of all these shows and all these seasons, there's really only 5 or 6 who are out there living the good life.
Yeah.
How do you kind of deal with those misconceptions when you're going to a show and somebody thinks you're a rich guy and you're literally trying to sell them a shirt and a hat just to pay for your kids' food the next day?
Man, I have found, and this is going to sound like everybody should know this, but I think if we all did know this, then we would live like we knew it and act like we knew it. And I don't mean that as criticism. I'm just saying. I have found that just telling the truth helps a lot. I try to be I tell the people who are part of, I just hate the word fans. I just can't bring myself to use it. But all of these people that are so good to me and are part of what I'm doing, I try to be as transparent with them as I can that like probably one of the, maybe not number one, but maybe things that does work against someone like me is that people sort of think you got it made, and you're on the yellow brick road and it's a lot of work and even financially, now and then I have to sit my wife and the kids who are old enough to know and say, look, we got to tighten the belt a little bit right now. And it's just, but it's like anything else. If you love it and you're passionate about it, then you'll work for it, and you just work as hard as you can. And I tell the people that work with me, a lot of smarter people than I am work alongside me on the team. And I tell them all the time, y'all, I'm willing to do the work. You just got to tell me what the work is. Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah. Another thing, once people start to know your name, they see your face, you post these videos online, the negative comments start rolling in.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that as somebody who also has kids that are older? They read those comments and are they coming to you and saying, Dad, why is this person saying this about you? That's not true.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. My kids have not. My wife will come to my defense. Let me just tell y'all, she does not play around. I always tell her all the time when she gets all riled up, she'll remind me. She'll say, "Well, you said you liked a fiery woman," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I don't want you to burn me all the way up. You know what I mean? I don't want you to burn me to the ground." The family, my wife will go in. I'm better. Because I'm going to be very honest. I'm a middle child. That's number one. I grew up in the church. I'm still part of the church. And I pastored a church. And all of those things, and also whatever, I don't know if you believe in personality profiles or whatever that, I'm like a peacemaker kind of person, have made me, had made me kind of a people pleaser. And I still struggle. I'm still like step by step. Getting the negative comments bothers me. It still does, but not like it did. I'm a little better at it. And then now, like the other day, I posted a picture, just with my daughter in my lap, and most people are great. I mean, I don't know what happened, but whatever happened,
I think 20,000 shares.
Yeah, do that again. Whatever that.
Do that with the song today.
Yeah, with my
Go
song,
find that post.
please. It's got like 20,000 shares, 40-something thousand. Like, well, I don't know what happened, but I also try to think, some of these people, not all of them, some of these people are probably just dying for some validation. And so now and then I'll get in the comments and be like, I see what you said and I understand where you're coming from. But really what had happened that day, because there was a lot of people that are like, well, if you love your baby so much, why are you on your phone?
Wow.
I played with her in the snow all day, and I owed the team some videos for PB&J. And so I was holding her in one arm and making videos for PB&J with the other hand. That's what I was doing. And but I feel like some of those people, it's all right. I don't address all of the criticism, but sometimes it's okay to say, hey, I get what you're trying to say, but this was kind of a moment in time, and I get it. I think the most frustrating thing to me with stuff like that is the mentality that is rampant, that because you went on The Voice or you put yourself out there, then that gives people a right to be jerks. Like, no,
yeah.
I don't understand. Just because someone puts themselves out there doesn't give you a right to be horrible, but
So with being on The Voice, your faith was kind of out there right from the get-go. They put it out there. These days, do you feel pressure when you're writing a song, you're going into these rights to these songwriters to where you have to keep your faith way out there in the open because people know you as a Christian and they want to hear Christian songs coming out of Todd Tilghman?
I'll be honest, I don't feel pressure. I feel like I can't help it. Now, some of my songs that I'm a part of writing will be a lot more overtly faith. It's very right in your face. But what I try to say to people, because a lot of times, and I do not want this to come across the wrong way, but a lot of times what we say in the kingdom of God and in faith communities and circles is we say, go into the world until someone does. And then we say they're compromising. But the real truth is I feel like each of us has a unique mission and vision, and I'm trying to live mine out. I make a lot of mistakes, and I try to make those right. But what I try to remind people is it was God. It was God Almighty that caused me to meet and fall in love with my wife. Yeah. And it's God Almighty that maintains the love that she and I have for one another. So what is unholy about a love song? This love is because of him, and so sometimes it's really overt, and sometimes it's more like in like PB&J, or like when I did Slow Down. I didn't write Slow Down, but Slow Down to me is a song about gratitude, being grateful. And so, no, I wouldn't say I feel pressure. I tell all, if they're asking me, and the other writers in the room, like, you want to write something for yourself, and they ask me what I like to do, I always say, look, I like to just sort of talk about life and put my heart on my sleeve, and faith always ends up in there somewhere. I can't hardly help it. Who I am springs from my faith, really. But I mean, all I know to do, even in that arena, is just do the next right thing and love who's right in front of you at the time,
Yeah, and as Christian music fans, we kind of create a weird issue in the country realm of things. We've talked about it on here many times, but you have Southern gospel, you have CCM music. Mm-hmm. You're kind of somewhere in the middle. You're more the country sound. We don't have a genre for that, yeah. And it's weird to me. I came from the rock and roll industry before I came here, where it was just the rock and roll genre. You liked rock and roll music, you liked rock and roll bands.
Right.
For some reason in the Christian industry, we segregate these genres.
That's true.
Yeah. Southern gospel people don't like CCM. CCM people don't like Southern gospel. I don't know. It's one of those issues that this industry has. That
I am working so desperately hard to be authentic. If I talk to other people that are coming into this industry, I'm really new to the industry, but I've been in a baptism by fire over the last 3-4 years, and I say, look, first of all, I'll give them my disclaimer is I don't know a lot, but 2 things I know. Number one, you gotta. Some people don't, and I can't help that. You got to stay authentic. You got to be who you are. But the second rule is almost kind of is contradictory to the first rule, which is you also got to play ball. Yeah. And that's really hard for me because what I do, I don't think I'm like so special and unique. I don't want to, that's not the message I'm trying to send. but what I do does not fit neatly into any. It's almost like I'm too country for the Christians and too Christian for the country folks, and and I'm trying to just be authentic,
Hopefully, in the next few years, that changes. We have people like Ann Wilson who are crossing over. Zach Williams has always been played on Christian radio, very country voice.
Right, that's right.
Jason Crabb's been fighting that battle we talked about him earlier, literally his entire career of what genre he fits into. So hopefully we just eventually blend into Jesus music is Jesus music. And we don't look at people wrong for listening to a different kind of
hopefully we
Jesus
can
music.
Sing it in a way that people who may not know the message will listen. Because a lot of it, I mean, it's fine. It's edification, so that's good. Mm-hmm. But we package it in such a way that most people who don't have faith are not going to listen. Hopefully we can almost smuggle it in, you know what I mean? And get it in there, and they can hear that message without knowing that, and then maybe, step by step. Because the thing about it is a relationship. I realize Christians, we have done the damage. I own that. But in reality, a relationship with the Lord it's beautiful and good and wholesome. It gives you peace. It's not like this. It's not all beating you down and telling you how terrible you are. Right. There is no condemnation. Even the Scripture says, "I didn't come to condemn you." I hope that we can reverse that message that the church, in large part, is sort of condemning, and that we can just say, "Hey, look, there's a lot of things in the world I don't agree with. I still believe in right and wrong, but really, Jesus said the number one rule is love them." And so I just try to. Usually, I don't get past rule 1.
So we go back to your days on The Voice. You were a part of one of the most unique seasons. Hopefully, the only time that there's a season like that. You were the COVID season where you're literally at home recording on iPads and cameras.
That's right.
Does that prepare you for the afterlife of being on a show like that, where now, when you're a musician, you're also a content creator or an influencer, where you're in front of your phone and iPads all the time? So you probably weren't before the Voice. Did that help prepare you for what was to come for like today on a release day? You're probably going to leave here and be on live on your phone when you get home.
Yeah, I think so. I think it did. Not only that, it taught me how to use a lot of equipment that I didn't know how to use. You know what I mean? I really do think, and I think one thing that helped me, I don't know that it gave me an edge, because I mean, if you look at the people who were in the finale with me, and I'm not being, I promise I'm not trying to be modest. It's a wonder I won. Like, these people are fantastic. Like Tanisha is just a powerhouse, and so, but I think one thing that did help me is that I'm so accustomed to singing to a being that I can't see, and it's bigger than me, and to our physical eyes, nothing's there. Mm-hmm. And so it sort of helped me to kind of sing to not an audience, because everybody's like, "Oh, I bet that helped your nerves." I'm like, "Oh no, we love the audience. The audience calms your nerves, especially if they're in it, But it did help to know how to be outside yourself. It's not about you, and you're not singing for you, I had a history of that.
Did you come back and now you're teaching some of your kids how to use these cameras and social media?
Yeah. Oh, my kids.
It's the opposite. They're still teaching.
I do that, and I have a son who's 20, so he's my second oldest son, and he writes and produces, and so I try to keep him in the equipment that I can keep him in, but he's fantastic. So it's really a beautiful thing to see my older 3 sons, who are all out on their own now. One of them is heavily in the arts. He does graphic design and all these kinds of things, and he's made a platform for himself on YouTube and things. The second one writes music and produces it and records it and all. The third one is going into ministry. He wants to go into pastoral ministry, and I've warned him every which way. I'm kidding. And it's so weird to just see these little pieces of yourself, and it's just really humbling, to be honest.
So now that you kind of have all these pieces, will we get to see more new music more often? Because now you have a producer that has to give you a discount. You have a graphic designer who's going to do your single artwork for cheaper.
Now, fair warning though, my son that produces, if you listen to what he does, it's a lot different than what I. It's great. Oh my gosh, I'm blown away. His writing alone, I'm blown away by it. But the style is a lot different.
Yeah. All right, well, the new single is out now, streaming everywhere, PB&J. Stream it, look for the lyric video right now, and then the official music video is coming out We don't know, right?
Soon.
Sometime
Very soon.
It's already finished, right?
It's ready to go. Yeah.
You're just waiting for this song to blow up, and they're like, oh, surprise, you got a video too.
Yeah. Make slideshows with your kids with this song as the background and post them.
Yeah. Todd Tilghman's the name. PB&J is the song. Go get it.